Hey, so quick note before we start the actual video. This is a new format I haven't done before. I'm trying new things out to see if I can expand my content more, and if this sucks, it sucks. I'd say I'm sorry, but I don't want to lie, so let's move on. Hi, I'm Kai, and I've been drawing digitally for over 6 years now. It's pretty crazy stuff, I know. I started drawing seriously when I was 12, and I've been through a lot during my art journey. Both emotionally and physically, and probably more, if I had to be honest. I made a lot of mistakes when I began drawing. It's a natural part of the journey, and you shouldn't be ashamed about it. But, with that being said, I still wish I knew some things beforehand to save countless wasted nights of me wanting to bash my head against the wall. And like every good YouTuber should, I want to capitalize off of that, so I'm making a video. Welcome to Things I Wish I Knew as a Beginner Artist, featuring some guy on the internet that you should definitely listen to.
Disclaimer, this is for comedic purposes only. Do not listen to this man. He just got out of an asylum, and no, it's not Taylor Swift's $30 million mansion in California.
Today, I'm going to give you advice I would have given to 12-year-old me before he got a hold of IbisPaint. So, who knows if this is good advice? I mean, it certainly helped me, so maybe it will help you too. Let's start off with a tip I think will help anyone, regardless of their skill level, and that's knowing that what you like to consume is not always what you'd like to create. This is something I only learned recently, actually, so that should give you an idea on how important this is. I've been through a lot of art style changes. I've experimented with different brushes, different mediums, and different methods of drawing in general, but despite that, I always tried to draw in a style I didn't enjoy drawing in. Why? Because I liked the results, and I liked looking at similar things. At first glance, you'd probably think this isn't an issue, but if the way you're drawing is taking a toll on your mental health and is making you lose your passion for art, maybe it's time to ditch the anime style and do something else. I and many artists fall into the habit of doing fully rendered drawings regardless of how it impacts us. We like to see art like that, so naturally our brains think we should be able to make art like that, but sometimes it's not that simple. For a very long time, I felt like my art was pretty stagnant. It felt stiff. I couldn't draw poses properly, nor could I diversify the body types in my work, and I realized the main thing contributing to that issue was the fact I tried too hard to draw in a style that wasn't for me. I tried too hard to do line art even though I knew I hated it. I tried too hard to render and shade like crazy even though I knew it made me tired. And when I finally let go of those things, I felt myself enjoying art even more. I also noticed I improved exponentially with my work, and ever since, I've been as happy as a lark. You shouldn't force yourself to draw in a specific style if it's hurting your productivity and love for art. Just because you enjoy anime doesn't mean you should draw in an anime style. Just because you like semi-realism doesn't mean you have to draw semi-realistically. Experiment and find the right style for you that you like to draw in and that you like the results of. It's easier said than done, obviously, but it's possible. It's very possible. Which then leads me to my next tip. Draw for yourself and not for others. This is something I learned a long time ago, but I'm currently trying to relearn again. Of course, this advice doesn't apply to commissions. We're not talking about commissions today. We're talking about personal work, and it's always important to remember that you should draw for yourself. While it's a good thing to grow your social medias and get likes on your work, it's also a good thing to draw art you enjoy. I'm not trying to invalidate people's feelings for wanting to grow online, That's not the point of this advice. I'm just telling you that being indulgent with your drawings is okay. You shouldn't beat yourself up for making cringy stuff that you like. It is essential to enjoy what you draw if you want to improve as an artist. And sometimes when your passion shows in your work, that'll help you grow your platform even more. Authenticity is way more valued than you might think. People are more inclined to like your art and follow you if you stay true to yourself, and that's the beauty of drawing and being online. No matter how niche your interests are, there's always going to be silly little weirdos out there that'll support you. It's why I'm not really afraid of abandoning fandoms anymore. It's a waste of time to beat myself up over that. I used to stress a lot about my reach on social media. I also got really upset at the idea of people disliking my art since it's stupid or it's bad, and that really affected my workflow and my passion. And like I said earlier, that's not good. You shouldn't cater to other people if it means it'll hurt you. You should do what you want, and if you still want to grow, you can always just make fan art of media you enjoy from time to time. That's what I used to do, and it worked pretty well. In a nutshell, be cringe and be free. Draw your persona. Draw your Canon XOC art. Who gives a damn? That's cool, and you should own it. Oh, and by the way, speaking of stress, don't stress out over small details in your art. I'm very guilty of doing this. I still do this pretty often, but it's not as bad as before. A lot of artists, regardless of skill level, tend to worry about the smallest things in their work, and it's a really bad habit that's hard to unlearn. This tip is the epitome of it's easier said than done, but I still wanted to include it in the video since it's important. A year or so ago, I would always find myself suffering with decision paralysis when I opened up IbisPaint and made a new canvas. This was because I was horrified at the thought of ruining the canvas with mistakes, and it led to a lot of issues down the road. I tried to make my sketches and construction lines perfect, which made my work look stiff. I tried to add the smallest details ever during rendering that didn't even affect my drawing. And overall, I was just wasting so much time getting stressed out over nothing that it made art unbearable for a while. While perfectionism by itself is a big problem, there are small habits within it that you need to get rid of if you really want your perfectionism to go away. I made significant progress with getting rid of my perfectionism by tackling these small habits. Like I said, I used to make my sketches and construction lines look perfect, so I slowly started to get more messy with them as time went on. I also have a habit of undoing brushstrokes constantly because my lines were wonky, despite, the fact we have an eraser tool and a liquify tool. And I'd say the most, quote-unquote, problematic issue I had that I still need to work on is the fact I zoom in too much with my canvas. I have heard so many stories of artists doing the same, where they obsess over small pixels that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, and as a result, they overshade their art. As much as it can be commendable to be thorough with your work, it's good to try and practice being carefree sometimes. Letting yourself go with the flow helps build your confidence a lot, especially with line work. I know many of us want that clean, hyper-detailed look to our art, but sometimes simplifying details is much better than complicating them. After all, your eyes are inclined to look at the bigger picture. Not many people zoom in to criticize one brushstroke in your work. I don't do that to other artists. I do that to myself, and I'm sure you're the same. So, you gotta stop. This topic can be a whole video by itself, but in short, don't be afraid to make mistakes, don't be afraid to be messy, that gives character to your art, and the more you practice without overusing the undo button, the more your brushstrokes will be better. This then leads me to my next tip. Don't be afraid to cheat. That sounds terrible out of context, but what I mean by this is you shouldn't be ashamed to use tools that make drawing easier. They're there for a reason, so use them when you need to. This applies to references, using 3D models for backgrounds or body bases, hell, even using tools already in your art program like flipping and copy-pasting is okay. You shouldn't feel bad for using shortcuts. That's normal and it should be encouraged. Remember, just because you use tools to help your workflow doesn't mean you're suddenly a fake artist. You're not using AI to generate your art, right? So what's wrong with using the symmetry ruler every now and then? Like, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with copy-pasting a character's eye and flipping it so their face looks even? Exactly! There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of stigma surrounding this topic, and it's mostly perpetuated by outsiders, but nowadays, I've been seeing it coming from artists too. And let me tell you right now, knock that shit off. It won't help you. It won't help other people either. Pushing the idea that you need to suffer for your art is so harmful. Art is not about making yourself suffer. It's about expressing yourself. It's about showing things you enjoy or find interesting. There's no rule book out there that tells you you're not allowed to use tools for art. Like I said, if you're not using AI to generate your work, then it's fine. Of course, you have to moderate your use of these tools if you want to improve, but does it really matter if you trace your own hand sometimes to move on with your drawing? No, of course not. Lots of artists do that regardless of skill level. Maybe this is a hot take, but tracing is fine when done correctly. Don't trace other people's work and say it's yours, of course. That's not what I'm encouraging. I'm encouraging you to trace 3D models and real-life photos if you find yourself getting stuck with a drawing. Again, this is another topic that can be its own video, but in a nutshell, liquefy the crap out of your art. Flip the goddamn eye. Who cares? That's such a non-issue. If you want to improve, do it moderately, of course, but other than that, work smarter, not harder. I have a lot more to say, but I'm trying to limit myself here, so that's about it. Those are the 4 main tips I would have told past me before he got into drawing. Let me know what you think. Am I a fraud, or did this random 18-year-old on the internet actually give you some crazy wisdom? I don't know. That's why I'm telling you to comment down below. Honestly, this video can be summed up as me just telling you to do fuck all with your art. Do what you want, man. Have fun. As long as you're not plagiarizing or doing something illegal or harming others intentionally, go ahead and draw. It's always good to challenge yourself and fix your mistakes, but sometimes you need to calm the hell down and take a few steps back. Don't overthink. Don't get too stressed. That's bad. That's not good for you. So be a silly guy instead. That's my life motto, and look at me now! I'm chronically ill. So live and let die. I hope this was insightful. If it wasn't, feel free to call me the next Ghoulian. Have a good week, everyone. I'll see you whenever I reemerge from my coffin. For now, goodbye.